We have a special treat for you now. We've got Chris Tabron up on deck. So now don't be all scared and shy like you've been naughty children and you sit in the back of the bus. You're all welcome to come up here and cuddle a little bit, right? The guy in the strange white pants, he's not going to hurt you. He's hopefully going to help you. And he's really going to help you understand. I'm just here to provide a humorous element to today's affairs. So, all right, that's looking better, right? Feeling a bit.
Good looking crowd here.
That's looking better. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay, all right. We still got more seats up here. Don't be scared. Come on, Chris Tabron. How often do you get to ask him questions? It's gonna be a pretty open forum. All right. Well, thank you, my friend, for joining us today.
Sure. I must say, every year we almost wear the same outfit.
It's very close. Next time we're going to coordinate. So, first thing I'd like to just ask Chris is tell us about something recent you've done that's exciting or that you're excited about or that you want to plug out there that we should be listening to, because I'm the guy that travels with 4 terabytes of music and is always buying new music and loves to hear what to get. So, yeah, straight from the source.
Cool. Recent stuff or current things. I guess I'm better at thinking about current shit I'm working on because it's in my inbox currently and I can't really remember what I have worked on. Producing a few records at the same time, which is usually how it goes. This band Battles, they're from New York. I really like what I'm doing with them.
Shout out to New York.
Shout out to New York. There are musicians out there still. And I'm... Yeah, that's an... I mean, this band is, I guess you'd call it post-rock, prog weird shit. But I got to build 3 drum kits, really varying tones. And also, I mean, I kind of came up in New York listening to that band and playing a lot of the same parties, so that's a lot of fun.
So when you built the 3 drum kits, did you have the same mics on all 3 kits?
No,
to go between
wildly different kits. So the drummer in the band, he used to be in Helmet. That was his first band. So if that's any indicator of how
understood
hard he hits, yeah. We were changing snare heads every 2 songs, literally. And he has this crash all the way up here. I call it's the and of 1 crash. So I built 3 kits. He has 1 kit that's a massive Tama kit that's it's 24, moves a lot of air. That was just the sort of, I want it to sound like John falling down a fucking mountain. Yeah. And that's his sound. So that was a lot of room mics. Then I had the dry kit, which was just a 64 leady that I have. That's just sort of a nice sounding, focused sound. And then I had the greasy kit, which was just kick-hat snare, no reso heads on anything, and that was a Gretsch Mardi Gras kit that was a 22. And having a guy that hits like a motherfucker on a tight, small kit in a really dead room gives a lot of the chest. So there's quite a few songs where there's 2 kits playing at the same time. And anytime they would flam, I've actually figured out a way to automate it so that I pan them off of each other so that the flams kind of make like think of it as the camera lens shaking if it was a music video where it's sort of like so that was
it keeps
fun.
Your attention also.
Yeah. Also, I mean there's 3 different kits but also 3 different tunings. And I take pride in my drum tuning. But to make that work, to make everything gel together, that was that. Yeah.
Love it.
So it's coming soon to a record store near you.
So now I'll do some shameless plugs for Dangerous Music. I'll try to lure him into a conversation about some product that he uses and owns. So, you want to tell me about what are you most excited about at this moment at Dangerous? Is it compressor, AD Plus, Convert 2?
I actually was working on
just got him on RST.
Yeah, I'm working on a really dense pop mix the other day, and the Dangerous compressor, I mean, I've told you this before, the compressor it does that thing where it brings out details without things getting smeary, and most often now the way that I'm using it, it's on the sort of lead vocal bus, just kind of the needle's sort of blown in the wind, but it just does a thing where it gives the detail there, and with the emphasis, the high frequency emphasis button, I don't have to DS that bus in a way. So that, I'm excited of using that in a different way than I've typically used it. Everything that I mix 95% of the time is going through the 2-bus plus summing, because I just want to sum that way. And
with the compressor, you told me they used to put Post-its over.
Yeah, I had to because the ballistics. First of all, the meters. It just freaked me out because in my brain I'm like 15 dB is a lot, but it didn't sound like that, so I just put a Post-it over it, and now it's in the rack behind me, so I don't see it.
He told me that he had grown up last time. I grew up and I took the Post-its off. I just moved it. And I think Ryan was on that call with us, Ryan West. Or
yeah,
maybe. Because he's like, oh, yeah, I put mine down on the desk.
Yeah, I don't want to see.
I don't want to see that shit.
No, I want to just hear what it's doing. And then the last thing I got with the A to D Plus is just dumb. It's really, really fucking good.
He was on the beta team with us to go through it and try to break it and tell us if it sounded
tried to get
shitty.
that shit back from me, too, but it didn't work.
That took a long time.
I like that because it's... I shot it out against a lot of... I had a Prism, I had a Lavery Gold, my Burl. I think those were the three. So expensive converters. And I don't know, the A to D was just what I wanted. It was a high resolution photo. I felt like there was just more information there.
And do you use the transformer emphasis stuff?
Oh, yeah. So when I first got it, I was, as you know, I hate change and things that...
Very hard to get something into his hands.
It's hard. Well, it's also hard to get it out of my hands, too, in fairness.
If he likes it.
I just don't like new things, man.
Your girlfriend must love that.
the emphasis, transformer emphasis, I was scared of it because it freaked me out a little bit because I couldn't hear it until I went too far, and now I just dial it in at 11 o'clock and it stays all the time.
I find almost everybody I talk to is at 11, and if they say they're at 9, they're probably lying.
Yep. Fair enough.
So describe kind of what that is, because people don't know so transformers, what it sounds like is popping in a couple transformers, but they're Hammond transformers. How many people have ever heard of Hammond transformers? Okay, a couple people. Great. Well, I hadn't heard of them. So, been around for 100 years, and Chris Muth, who's the designer of the stuff, the analog side, really wanted something that wasn't, over the top. He wanted something that was more subtle, because an A to D, still gives you something, but it's not like crazy sounding, right? Because we use different transformers, say in the 2-bus plus, for more color than that. And then how do you use it? What do you hear when you use those two things?
In the A to D, I pop it on immediately and I mix through it. I make decisions through it. So I don't ever compare. I liked it and I was like, cool. I get into the thing where I'll try something and I'll geek out and I'll listen to the differences and then once I establish what I like, I don't think about it anymore. So honestly, I don't know. I just leave it on, and I like it. And there was a decision that I made, and it's similar with the 2-bus plus. It's sort of like the transformer is in, and it's at a certain level, and it sort of just stays there, and I make decisions through it. That's just how I learned how to work, I'm not a very let's pop this thing on at the end and make it, now it's going to be better thing. I make decisions through the stuff.
Mix into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, it was funny. Reed Shippen was up last, and I said, so tell us about some of the settings on the dangerous compressor. He's like, I couldn't tell you. I said it when I got it 4 years ago, and that's how I left it.
Yeah, mine's the same too. Yeah. I can tell you what it is right now. It doesn't change. Yeah. Why would I change it? Then I'd have to get up and walk across the room.
That's why it's behind you.
Yeah, that's why I got a patch bay. It's already there. It's behind me. It does what I want it to do. Yeah.
Right on. I dig. All right, and recently you upgraded to a monitor ST at Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Well, we never even talked about why you needed it. You texted me and said, I got to have one by Friday or whatever.
I just didn't want to think about that room anymore, and I wanted it just to work. You're not going to get sexy answers out of me other than I just don't want to think about the shit. I want to work, and I don't want to think about math and numbers and things. So.
And what room is that in?
It's in our B rig. It's in the B room. Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, I don't know. I just needed that, and it was just easy because I knew that it was going to work, and I wouldn't have to worry about that room. Because that room is a lot of time artists are working there on independently, and it's easy to use, and I don't have to explain rocket surgery to them. So
yeah, there's almost no programmability in it, so there's nothing to
pretty hard
do.
to fuck up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we like things like that.
Yeah.
So he's talking about his monitor controller, monitor ST, just turning your speakers up and down, that kind of thing. Not super sexy, but what you pay for is to not hear anything. So you have to pay. It's like, remember we used to have a phone and you had to pay extra for like star 69 and all that sort of stuff, like caller ID would cost you extra. Now you have to pay to get rid of it. That's kind of like what a monitor controller is. You have to pay to get rid of all that stuff, so it doesn't screw up your sound and it translates everywhere. Awesome. What else? You ended up, I remember getting a Source at one point from me.
Source is what I travel with. Yeah. That's, I don't know, I also use that just even for monitoring on headphones when I know I'm working on a mix in progress. I use that as my headphone amp so I can hear what I'm going to be hearing on the road and know what that's going to be. Like a lot of the time, all the time now, I'm constantly in progress with something and I can't, it's never like, cool, this is, even when it's sent to mastering, literally got an email this morning, an artist is like, well, I kind of like this so I have to, my clients are just used to that, and it's fine. So I need the portability, and I need to know what I'm hearing. And the Source, I can bring it to a room where I'm plugging into speakers. I can use the AES through to get to, it's just ergonomically and sonically, it's just what I need, and throw it in a backpack.
And are you usually just plugging that in USB?
When I'm at my home rig, I go in AES, so I just have a mult off of my AES coming out of my mix out to do the headphone amp, and then when I'm on the road, USB is the way I run it.
It's just a little box that you can travel with, $8.99, and then you can get a rack mount kit if you want, but it lets you do USB and a couple digital inputs, single digital input and a couple analog inputs. So super chill way to turn your volume up and down, a great headphone amplifier in it. That's what's in D-Box Plus, is the Source headphone amplifier, but even a little nicer because... and
the headphones that I use, they need a good amp. I have Sennheisers that need, I forget what the impedance is, but it's pretty high. But they need a good amp.
Need juice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what else do you have? I can't remember. Convert 2?
A Convert A to D. I don't have a Convert 2. I have I have to think of my racks. Yep, I have Dangerous Compressor. D-Box. I think that's it. I'm going to be getting it back soon.
I'd like to hear that. So, can we have questions? Did someone come up with a question that's smart? Tony can. Oh, you've got a question. Yes, I love questions.
Sorry if I missed any of this, but I'd like to hear how you use the Tubeless Plus and your experiences with the Tubeless Plus with analog summing,
Sure.
and also the added color and how you integrate that in your mixes.
Yeah. I use it in one of two ways. Sometimes I just kind of take all of the colors off except for the final transformer, and I don't use any of the harmonics or the dynamics part, and I just kind of go summing through stuff. Usually that's on a denser mix that I just want it to hit copper at some point and sum that way, and I don't need to do too much. Something that I've produced or that I'm building up the mix more myself, I'll use it in the secondary way, where I create a bus to the dynamics. What was that thing called again?
The bus to, you're talking about Paralimit?
Paralimit, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make a bus in Pro Tools and put the paralimiter at quite a bit and crank it. Because that paralimiter is essentially like an 1178, I guess, with all the buttons in, right? So the release is really wacky and getting things kind of cool distortion and excitement.
So you're printing that. So you're setting something like a drum mix and then printing it.
I'll print it ultimately when I'm printing stems, but it goes down live. So I have that on an aux in Pro Tools, and I send a lot of little things to it. Anything that I want to be exciting, and now I can automate into it, right? So, and I can blend the return. That's probably my favorite way to use that box. So if you have a drum fill, I can send an EQ'd version of the toms that is exaggerating the attack or the stick of the tom into that distortion, into that limiter, right? And I can ride that up so that it feels like the walls shake when the drummer does a fill. Works really nicely on vocals too. I've discovered on background vocals, the paralimiter does this wacky thing that just sort of crunches them. But mainly, I've rarely done in the box versus summing. I've rarely done a mix where I'm listening to whether I did it in the box or summing, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had done this on a desk, or I wish I had done this summing, or it's how you want to work. How I prefer to work is with summing. So when I can, I just I like it. It just the sound that's in my head comes out of the speakers faster that way, typically. I like that my recall doesn't take any time because I don't really change the settings on it ever. And I just like, I don't know. I'm used to I understand gain staging better that way, and I like being able to have an insert for my stereo bus rather than using a plug-in or using an insert in Pro Tools, because the way my studio's set up, I have summing, 16-channel summing, and I have 24 hardware inserts for all my gear. But I'd rather have the external insert so I can check what the compression's doing just by hitting that switch rather than, going another trip of conversion in and out. Did that answer your question?
You're talking about the external insert on 2 Bus Plus,
yes.
right? Yeah, so that's cool because you can also put it on like Liaison, and then so you have some funky thing on Liaison, you can just take the whole thing out or put it all in, so.
So you're building all your mixes through summing from the beginning?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you prefer to have, you haven't really A-B'd though, where you do the digital summing to like, do you ever like after you're finished with a project?
It doesn't, no, because, not because I don't think it sounds different, it's because I don't think it matters.
Right.
Because it's how I want to work.
Because you're working
so if I need to mix something completely in the box, I will, and I'll get it to sound the way I want it to.
Uh-huh.
But how do I want to get to that end?
Right,
like there's different routes that I can take home, right?
Sure,
what streets do I want to take? Mm-hmm. So all things being equal, my preference is to work with summing because, again, I'm getting the sound that's in my head out of the speakers quicker.
Right.
But I'm really not interested in what sounds better.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how I want to work.
Mm-hmm. But you must feel it sounds better, and that's why you're doing it, I would guess.
Well, yeah, but it's a two-way street. You respond to the gear, and the gear responds to you, right?
Sure. Uh-huh.
So it's not just, I can do the analysis and see what sounds better, but I can still mix something in the box and get it to sound the way I want it to sound too, right?
Sure.
So it's more of I work in a way that I want to work that way.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
And it's more fun, maybe.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I'm summing, it's faster, more gooderer, and more funnerer. To use specific terminology.
Yeah, I think probably you also have a wider range for error or whatever with analog summing because it's hitting copper and it's not doing math. So you probably have. Maybe that's why it sounds better faster because I'm not worrying about it. But
we love voltage. Any other questions? Great.
So when you're summing, do you usually just send all the tracks to 8 separate buses, or do you treat your buses individually before you send it to the box?
A bit of both. Depends on how I'm working. Usually I would send subgroups out. Sometimes the biggest difference I hear in summing is actually the mono focus rather than the sort of center that Pro Tools generates out of a stereo track pan in the middle. Having something just go right up the center, a vocal, bass, kick and a snare, that's usually what I send mono. That goes straight out the door to the summing because I don't need another. If the whole point is me not doing math with the engine, the internal summing bus, right? I'll just send the lead vocal right out the door. Why would I go through another subgroup? Unless I needed to treat that group. But typically, no. I have subgroups, and if I have a lead vocal, mono, or kick drum or whatever, that goes right out the door. Yeah.
Everybody this week has been talking about the mono button. So I don't know what the math is on that, but they all say the same thing. It sounds better in analog.
That is empirically different. Yeah.
Luca was saying he does EDM, so he was saying everybody sends him all this side information all the time, like the kick drums in stereo, and he's trying to get rid of all that and just bring it up to center, and that's a way that he can make space in the mix by.
Agreed. Yeah. I think also sometimes I'll make a master fader if I'm going out. Like usually kick drums going out 1. I'll make a master fader. I like that better than just going out an aux than going out. But again, that's just, I don't have any evidence other than my own idiosyncrasies.
Good. More questions? Come on. Don't be afraid. It's your only chance to pick the mind of a genius.
Not really, though. Pick the mind of a genius.
Pick it clean. All right, well, if that's all you got to say, That's all we got. Our time's up here. Chris and I will be doing some event sometime this year
Oh, yeah, I
at
gotta
Red
get back
Bull.
your email.
Yeah, I already made my national tour schedule. Oh, you got another question? Oh, good. I don't have to do the closer yet.
When you were saying bringing the snare and other things out to the paralimiter, so
Yeah.
will you also have the snare like on another stereo pair going into the summing, or you're just bringing the things you want to excite through?
Oh, right. No, yeah. So in that case, the paralimiter is in parallel. So I'm making a bus in Pro Tools that's going out to that paralimiter thing.
Right. To just that.
So
you're putting the paralimiter just on a stereo
Exactly.
pair going into the
Correct.
bus,
So I can send a little bit of everything
A little bit
that
of
I
everything,
want
right.
to there,
Uh-huh.
rather than having to make a decision of what just goes there.
Okay.
And I now am able to automate how hard I want to hit that.
Right.
And I can EQ the return of it. It's more flexible. And
So
sometimes it's nice to be able to EQ so that there's less lows in it in the verse than there are in the chorus, for instance, or something like that. It's just more flexible to work that way.
Okay, and so you'll also have that going to another stereo pair where it's not hit by the paralimiter. And
Yeah.
So you're
So
just
drums would be going out 1, 2, let's say.
Right.
And then my exciter bus, that's what I call it, is like going to the paralimiter.
and you can choose how
that's-
much you're taking there, and then you
Exactly.
can leave most of it going to the.
Yeah,
right,
I can
right.
EQ it on the way there.
Okay, gotcha. That's cool. That's cool
Thanks.
technique. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's basically like it's like one of your effect sends.
totally.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
And that's what's nice about knowing people like Chris, because when I wrote the manual, wait, did I write that manual? Yeah, I wrote that manual. I didn't think of using it on aux sense. So the people in the real world
The
figured
manual
it
is just the manufacturer's opinion.
out. Well, I'd never even seen a 2-bus plus when I wrote the manual, so don't believe everything you read.
Thanks, man.
All right. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And giving your knowledge to us. I always learn something from this man, and I always steal his ideas and don't give him any credit. So I'm just going on record for that. Coming to the party tonight?